Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. In most relationships, the man gives up his power willingly and then wonders why he feels stuck. Now, before anyone gets emotional, let's be honest. We've all seen it. A man bends over backward to keep a woman happy. He sacrifices his time, focus, and sometimes even his identity. And the reward? Less respect, less appreciation, less control. Here's the part no one wants to admit. She needs you more than you need her. Now, I'm not saying women are weak, not at all. What I'm saying is that a grounded, purpose-driven man is rare and deeply valuable. But most men don't act like it. They chase, they beg, they get emotionally dependent. And once that happens, the dynamic shifts. Fast. Men listen. Power in a relationship doesn't come from domination. It comes from discipline, from being centered, from knowing your worth and refusing to negotiate it. That's the kind of energy that women are actually drawn to, even if they won't say it out loud. But here's where the real trap is. Most men are taught to think they're lucky just to have her, that if they don't give in, she'll leave. That love means submission. No, that's programming, and it's keeping you powerless. When you live with purpose, when you focus on your mission, when you stay in control of your emotions, you become a rare breed. You become a man who is not only desired, but respected. And when a woman respects you, everything changes. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. She wants a man she can look up to, not a man she can control. But the second you start living for her approval, you lose that edge. And she feels it. That's when things get complicated. So, let's flip the script. This video is not about blaming women. It's about waking men up to the truth, to the power dynamic they've forgotten they had. And once you reclaim it, everything, and I mean everything, starts to shift in your favor. 1. Stop trying to prove your worth. Men have been brainwashed to believe they need to earn a woman's love by constantly doing, giving, chasing, fixing, pleasing. But here's the truth most won't say out loud. If you feel like you have to prove your worth, you've already placed her above you. And once you do that, the balance shifts. You start over-explaining yourself. You try too hard. You let little things slide to keep the peace. But deep down, you feel disrespected, overlooked, even used. And why? Because you're living to impress someone who was supposed to match your energy, not be your judge. It's not about ego. It's about energy. A man who knows his value doesn't walk around begging to be noticed. He moves with purpose, and people adjust, women included. You lose power the moment you say, maybe if I do more, she'll stay. Maybe if I change this, she'll love me more. Maybe if I hold back my needs, she'll finally see my worth. No. She sees it when you do. She doesn't respect a man who gives up his spine just to be liked. That might get you temporary affection, but never long-term power. And deep down, she can't fully trust a man who doesn't even stand firm in who he is. Let's say you text her, and she doesn't reply. Hours pass. You send another, then another, and finally a soft, "Did I do something wrong?" Stop. You just gave away all your power. She didn't even have to reject you. You did it to yourself by acting like you're on trial. Instead, step back. Let your silence speak. Let your absence create presence. Let her wonder. That's strength. That's confidence. That's leadership. Here's the twist. When you stop trying to prove yourself, when you lean into your life, your purpose, your discipline, she'll be drawn to that. Because she can feel that your value doesn't come from her attention. It comes from your direction. You're not supposed to prove anything. You're supposed to become something. And when you do that, the game changes. Completely. 2. You're the prize. Act like it. Somewhere along the line, men forgot they were the prize, not just financially, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally. A focused man, a man on his mission, a man who doesn't fold under pressure. He's the one women are chasing silently, even if they don't say it. But the modern man got it twisted. Now he's constantly auditioning, taking her to the best places, sending long texts, offering gifts for no reason, holding back his opinions just to keep her around. Let me ask you something. If you're the one doing all the chasing, all the compromising, all the adjusting, who's the prize? It's not about arrogance, it's about position. When a man sees himself as the prize, he doesn't beg for love. He doesn't compete for attention. He doesn't crumble under silence. He knows his value and he expects the woman to meet him there, not drag him down to insecurity. The truth is, women are used to being the prize. Society reinforces it. Social media worships it. But deep down, they crave a man who values himself so much that he won't just fall for a pretty face. A man who chooses her, but doesn't need her. That's the difference. Here's what happens when you flip the script. She starts to pursue you. She starts to impress you. She starts to wonder if she's enough for you. That's where the power shift begins. But you can't fake this energy. It's not about pretending. It's about really becoming. That means leveling up your life, your discipline, your finances, your fitness, your mindset, not for her, but for you. Because when you're truly the prize, you don't have to say it. She just feels it. You don't chase women, you attract them. You don't sell yourself. You stand on who you are. You don't settle for attention. You command respect. And if she can't see that, then maybe she's not the prize either. 3. Emotionally available, emotionally weak. There's a big lie circulating out there that if you open up as a man, if you express emotion, you're automatically weak. Wrong. But here's the twist. Many men confuse emotional availability with emotional submission, and that's where everything falls apart. See, a man who's emotionally available isn't soft. He's not fragile. He's not constantly venting or breaking down every time something feels off. That's not strength. That's instability. And instability doesn't build trust. What real emotional availability looks like is control, not chaos. It's the ability to feel deeply without falling apart, to stay grounded in the storm, to express yourself without losing yourself. A woman doesn't lose respect because you feel. She loses respect when your feelings start controlling you, when every disagreement turns into you over-explaining, apologizing for how you feel, or getting passive-aggressive. She checks out. Not because you felt, but because you showed her you couldn't hold emotional weight like a man. And let's be honest, most men were never taught how to manage that weight. We were taught either to suppress it or explode from it. Neither works. But here's what does. When you can speak clearly, calmly, and confidently about what you feel, without needing her approval, that's power. That's attractive. That's rare. Because now you're not just emotionally open, you're emotionally solid. And this is where the shift happens. You stop being the guy she has to fix. You stop being the guy who falls apart over silence or mood swings. You stop being the guy who uses emotion as manipulation. Instead, you become the guy who can handle her emotions and still command his own. She can cry in your arms, but she knows you won't break. She can test your limits, but she knows you won't fold. She can bring drama, but you bring peace. That's the kind of man women don't just love. They depend on. And not in a needy way, but in a deep, primal way. Because they feel safe. Not just physically, emotionally. You want real power in a relationship. Learn to feel, but lead. Learn to listen, but never abandon yourself. Be open, but never be overrun. That's what separates men she dates from men she respects. 4. She fears losing you. More than you think. Here's a hard pill most men never swallow. She's more afraid of losing you than you'll ever realize. But she'll never say it. Why? Because you don't act like a man who's worth losing. Let's be real. Too many men walk through relationships terrified, afraid of doing the wrong thing, afraid she'll leave, afraid she'll pull away. So they shrink themselves. They tolerate disrespect. They confuse silence with peace. And that's exactly when she starts losing interest. But guess what? When a man walks in confidence, when he isn't desperate, when he's not chasing, she feels it. And that's when her behavior changes. She becomes more careful, more considerate, more invested. Because now she knows you won't be easily replaced. Here's where men mess up. You assume that because she's attractive, she has endless options. But just because she has attention doesn't mean she has options. Most women are surrounded by men who only want one thing, and none of them are you. You, the man who's built, who has discipline, who leads himself, who listens but doesn't get led, who loves but doesn't lose himself. That kind of man, rare and valuable. But here's the criticism, and you need to hear this. You've been giving her too much power. You've been too available, too predictable, too emotional without structure. Too focused on not losing her, instead of asking yourself if she's worth being kept. You've forgotten that she should be trying to keep you. And the moment she feels like she doesn't have to, she stops trying. Not because she's evil, but because you made it too easy. Women don't fall for the man who needs them. They fall for the man who inspires them to rise with him, who makes her think, damn, if I lose him, I won't find another like that. But she can't feel that if you're always chasing, always apologizing, always adjusting. Wake up, start moving like a man who knows his value, and watch how fast her fear of losing you silently kicks in. 5. Masculine energy creates attraction. You don't need a six-pack, a mansion, or millions in the bank to attract a woman. But you do need masculine energy, not the fake alpha act, not loud ego, not toxic control. I'm talking about real masculine energy, the kind that makes her feel safe, drawn in, and respected all at once. See, attraction isn't something you do, it's something you are. And the most attractive men? They carry something in their energy that you can't fake. Stillness, direction, control, intent. They don't talk too much. They don't move erratically. They're not emotionally frantic. They walk into a room and people feel the presence. Women feel it too. Masculine energy isn't loud. It's stable. It doesn't rush. It chooses. It doesn't chase. It leads. And that leadership, that calm certainty, that's what makes her lean in. Because deep down, women are drawn to polarity. Opposite energies attract. If she's in her feminine, she doesn't want another emotional reactive presence competing with hers. She wants to feel grounded next to you. But most men don't get this. They try to connect by becoming softer, sweeter, safer. They try to avoid conflict. They say yes to everything. They bury their opinions to keep her happy. And slowly, she loses interest. Not because you weren't nice, but because you weren't grounded. Here's the truth. Feminine energy wants to feel, not think. She wants to flow, but she can't do that if she doesn't trust the direction of the man she's with. That's why masculine energy isn't about being dominant. It's about being anchored. It's about having a mission bigger than her. A sense of self that doesn't shake. A way of moving that says, I've got this, without arrogance, without begging. Because once she feels that, the walls drop, the tests slow down, the attraction grows naturally. You don't need to do magic tricks. You just need to become the man she respects enough to follow. And when your energy is masculine, grounded, focused, you don't chase attraction, you become it. 6. Don't compete for her attention. Here's a cold truth. The moment you start competing for her attention, you already lost her interest. Too many men are in a silent competition they don't even realize they've signed up for. Liking all her posts, double texting, adjusting their schedule to match hers, always being available, always trying to win her over. But who gave her the crown? Who said you have to qualify yourself? The second you start competing, you tell her, she's the prize, you're lucky to have her, and you'll do whatever it takes to keep her eyes on you. She might not say it, but she feels it. And once she senses that desperation, the attraction begins to fade. Because deep down, she doesn't want to feel like a celebrity in her own relationship. She doesn't want to be worshipped. She wants to be inspired. She wants to feel that you have options and standards. When you move like you're the only one chasing, she assumes she's the only one choosing. And let's be honest, most men act like they've already been chosen. But have you even taken the time to ask yourself if she's truly worth competing for? Let's flip it. When you're focused, building, evolving, your attention becomes scarce. You're not constantly watching her stories, not replying in seconds, not available every night. And guess what happens? Now she starts wondering where your energy is going. Now she wants to know who's capturing your focus. Now she starts competing for you. But this doesn't happen when you act like her fan. It happens when you act like a man on a mission. She has enough followers. She needs a man who leads, not a man who claps from the sidelines. You don't need to be cold, but you do need to stop acting like attention is some reward she hands out, and you're lucky to get it. You're not one of the boys in her DMs. You're not an extra in her movie. You're a main character in your own story, and she can either add to it or move out of the way. 7. When you chase, you lose. Every time you chase a woman, you give away something she can never unsee, your position. See, chasing creates a dynamic, and in that dynamic, you're always behind. She's the one choosing. You're the one convincing. She's the standard. You're the hopeful applicant. And whether she says it or not, she feels the shift. And so do you. Let's be clear. There's a big difference between pursuing with confidence and chasing with desperation. A confident man makes his intention known, then moves with clarity. A chasing man adjusts, compromises, overreaches, and apologizes for being interested. One is rooted in power, the other is rooted in fear, and fear is not attractive. When you chase, you operate from lack. You start overthinking. You read into every delay, every tone, every silence. You start texting more than she texts you. You start offering what she hasn't even asked for. And worse, you start tolerating behavior you'd never accept from anyone else. Why? Because you're afraid of losing her. But what you don't realize is, in chasing her, you've already lost yourself. And she sees it. She sees when you're too available. She sees when your whole mood depends on her replies. She sees when your focus is all over the place because you're trying to earn her affection. And here's the twist. That kind of energy doesn't make her feel special. It makes her feel smothered. Because a man who chases is a man without center. And if you're not centered, you can't lead. If you can't lead, she can't relax into her feminine. And if she can't relax, the connection dies, even if you gave her the world. This is what most men never figure out. Attraction is not about chasing her. It's about choosing you. When you chase, you signal lack. When you walk away, when your standards aren't met, you signal value. A man who knows what he brings to the table never begs for a seat. Let her chase you for once. Let her feel what it's like to wonder, does he really need me? Or is he just giving me a chance? 8. Respect is bigger than love. Love without respect is dangerous. She can say she loves you, she can hug you, sleep next to you, post about you, but if she doesn't respect you, none of that matters. And here's the part that stings. Most men are so focused on being loved, they don't even notice when they're no longer respected. They'll ignore the tone. They'll ignore the eye rolls. They'll ignore the subtle disrespect in front of friends. They'll ignore the way she stops listening, starts controlling, starts testing, all in the name of love. But deep down, she stopped seeing you as a man she needs to impress. She started seeing you as a man who will tolerate anything, just to stay loved. That's where power dies. Because love can exist in toxic spaces. Love can exist in disrespectful behavior. But respect, that's different. Respect means she watches how she speaks to you. Respect means she values your time. Respect means she checks herself before crossing lines. Not out of fear, but out of honor. Men think the worst thing a woman can do is stop loving them. But the truth is, it's when she stops respecting you that things really start to fall apart. And here's where you need to take accountability. If she talks to you like a child, maybe you've been acting like one. If she walks all over your boundaries, maybe you never enforced them. If she doesn't value your words, maybe you've been silent for too long. You don't demand respect by raising your voice. You earn it by how you live, how you lead, and what you're willing to walk away from. A woman will test you, not because she wants to break you, but because she wants to feel your strength. She wants to know, can I lean on him, or do I have to lead him? So while you're trying to make her fall in love, ask yourself, does she even respect me anymore? Because love fades, respect stays. And when she respects you, the love becomes deeper, stronger, and real. 9. Her tests are really power checks. Ever wonder why she starts acting different just when things are going well? Suddenly, she pulls back. She gets colder, starts criticizing you out of nowhere, or throws some random drama into the mix. Most men panic. They think they did something wrong. They try to fix it, apologize, over-explain, smooth it over, hoping to get things back to normal. But here's what you need to understand. She's not just testing your patience, she's testing your power. Women test not because they're toxic, but because they're wired to look for strength. Not physical strength, but emotional strength, leadership, clarity, boundaries. A test is her way of asking, can I trust you to stay grounded when things get emotional? Can you hold your frame when I get out of line? Are you solid or soft? And when you fail the test, when you react emotionally, beg for answers, raise your voice, or start chasing. She may not say it out loud, but internally, she marks you as a man she can't fully trust to lead. And that's when the dynamic starts to change. The truth is, most men fold. They overcompensate. They try harder. They lower their standards. They step into a role they were never supposed to play, the follower. But here's what real men do. They hold the line. They don't overreact. They stay calm. They stay grounded. They don't match her chaos. They provide structure. Because here's the real secret. A woman only trusts a man she can't emotionally shake. And she only respects a man who doesn't flinch when she tries. So the next time she pushes your buttons, changes her tone, or starts playing little games, don't take it personally. Recognize it for what it is. A check. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for presence. She wants to see if you'll fold or lead. And when you lead, not with anger, not with ego, but with calm, masculine certainty, she starts to relax. Because now she knows. You're not just a man she can love. You're a man she can trust with her storm. 10. Purpose over pleasure, always. Here's the root of most relationship problems men face. They put the woman before the mission. They meet someone attractive, and suddenly their routine changes. Their ambition slows down. Their focus shifts. The gym gets skipped. The business gets delayed, and before they know it, they've lost themselves trying to keep someone who was never supposed to become their center. And at first, she loves the attention. She loves being your world, until she realizes you've got no world without her. That's when she starts to drift. Because now, she's not inspired by you. She's burdened by you. Men were never meant to orbit women. Women were meant to join the man who's already in motion. That's why your purpose must come before the pleasure. When you build your life around her, you become a man without direction. But when you build your life around your purpose, you become a man with gravity, one who pulls her in without trying. A woman respects the man she has to keep up with, not the one who slows down to match her vibe. But here's the catch. This takes discipline. It takes saying no to distractions. It takes walking away from comfort. It takes being okay with losing people who can't match your pace. And yes, sometimes that includes her. Because the man on his mission isn't afraid to walk alone. Not out of pride, not out of ego, but because he understands something most men forget. If you abandon your purpose for her, you'll eventually resent her. And once resentment enters the relationship, love dies slowly. So no, she's not the prize. The mission is. And if she can walk with you on that mission without slowing it down, she's a bonus, a blessing, a real one. But she's not the purpose. The minute she becomes the center of your life, you stop being the man she was attracted to in the first place. Stay on the path. She'll either align with it or get replaced by someone who will. Here's the statement most won't dare to say. If she feels more important than your purpose, she'll start treating you like you're less important than her options. Let that sink in. You weren't made to orbit a woman. You were made to lead your life. And when you do that, from a place of clarity, discipline, and self-respect, the right woman will follow. Not because you chased her, but because you didn't chase anything but your purpose. So now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. Tell me where you've been giving up your power and how you plan to take it back. I read every single one. If you've been through this, if you're in it right now, or if you just woke up to something inside yourself, say it. I'll reach out. We're building something real here, something bigger than just relationships. We're building men who remember who they are. Let's talk in the comments.